I was looking for something other than Top Step, and Top Step just to me, it's almost like they're designed to make you fail, and I don't know why. It doesn't seem like it's that far off, but it's you need to make 3 times as much money as you can potentially lose, and I just think it's too restrictive. And so I was looking for anything else, and there's a lot more companies coming out there like Lilu and weirdos like that. I have a Lilu account too. I do have a Top Step account. I try to have these accounts simply because I can trade from one, make a goal, go to the next one, trade, make a goal, and I'm never really, again, putting my money at risk, so that I can take the cash from that and throw it in my options account. But when I found you guys, the thing that was nice was, it was a lot bigger account, which was nice. And that's really, I think, originally why I chose you guys. And but in the end, I don't remember exactly how I found you guys, but I did a search specifically to find more prop firms. And as opposed to the stock trading ones, which give you got to put up $10,000 or $25,000 of your own money, and then they give you a lot of extra margin, and they're only trading stock. I just didn't. I'm not a stock trader, so I much prefer trading futures. So because Top Step, if you think about it, because you have to triple what you're allowed to lose, and you have to do it twice. So I have to make 6 times more money than I'm allowed to lose. And that's just, unless you're doing nothing but, scalping and cutting every trade short, which doesn't allow you to make money. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to lose. You have to be able to let that trade wander a little, right? And there's just not enough room in Top Step to do that. And that's why I suggest that they're designed not to win, honestly. And so I don't abuse the fact that there's more money to lose. The idea is you have to be able to set a good stop, right? But at the same time, it's got to be a big enough stop so that you're not just taken out by market noise. And I think that's huge. And to only go through one step, for a trader like me, is huge. I don't want to go through 2 steps and go through 3 months worth of dealing with all that just to get back into another account. I think it's better for people who know how to trade, honestly. I do take counter trades once in a while. If I take a counter trade, I go all in, all out. So let's say I'm doing 6 contracts. I'm trying to get essentially 5 NASDAQ points, right, on a reaction back. So if I'm counter trending, then I'm only trying to get those 5 points. I'm bang. And if it starts to kind of flutter and do whatever, I'm out. I'll grab $300-400, but I'm trying to grab that 600 move, because if I can get 2 of those a day, it hits my goal. 21 ticks twice, I'm at 1250. So, which is my goal for the week. If I can make $1,250 a day all week long, at 80%, I'm still taking home $5,000 a week with some cushion. And that's the whole plan. And so, but when I'm trading forward and I'm going with the trend, the difference is, instead of going 6 all in, all out, I go 4 all in, all out with 2 as a runner. And then I try to let those run the trend. And then sometimes I only need to make 1 trade and I'm finished for the day. The plan has to be flexible. I kind of look at it as being a professional poker player. A poker player comes in with a plan, but you have to be able to vary it at any time. And the reason for that is, if you're in a very volatile day, right, and you've got to make adjustments. You can't just do the same thing. You will still get knocked out by market noise for 5 points, and just be in and out and be wrong. So some of it has to be flexible, but you still have to have the idea that you'd really like to make more on your wins than you'd like to lose. But it doesn't always work that way. So if I'm trying to get my 5 points and it starts to waver and I have to cut it, it starts to make it look like my wins are smaller than my losses, because I'm willing to wait out that 5-point loss. But I try to cut those too, right? It just doesn't happen quite as well. So in the end, you try to say, gosh, I definitely want to have twice the size of the wins as the losses. It doesn't always work. And I'd rather just, grab $200 and be ahead for the day than not, so it's kind of that thing of, well, if you're willing to take the risk, why not grab something? So I think a plan is important to mentally stick to. I think that is vital. but you have to be able to vary from it, and you have to know how to vary from it without just wiping yourself out. Because it's like, you can't just, hope doesn't pay the bills. You have to have a real plan that matters, and at the same time be able to focus from that. I was a hard case. I had to call, and I kind of worried that I overread things. And so I called to have some help. And actually, by the time I kind of went back and just looked at it, it's like, oh, well, okay, that's pretty easy. It was my own worry of I'm going to screw this up somehow. But everybody's always been really friendly with me. Even if I call and ask a question that has been asked a million times, they've always been very nice to me about it. Say, it's okay, we'll get you through it. You're great. So, but in the end, after that, once you've done it once, you've done it 100 times. And your emails on how to get set up are extremely good. In hindsight, I go back and I look at it and it's like, yeah, they did it. It was exactly the way it was. I should have just did it instead of call and worry about it. But I did. And being that kind of warrior, you guys were still awesome. So just wanted to say, they just updated and changed. They're a lot better than they were, obviously. I don't know how accurate they are. One thing said I had like a $4,000 loss, and if I had done that, I'd been wiped out. But that was that day that I lost power, and I told you about that. And I don't think it was actually that big. I thought it was really a $3,000 loss. But when we were talking about consistency and I was making $1,200 a day, that loss, it was kind of funny because the next day I made it all back plus my $1,250 again, and I just kind of got back into it. But that had nothing to do with you guys. I lost power with the number of hurricanes we had recently, and I lost power, lost internet, and I was in the middle of a trade, so I had to call and cancel it. And luckily, I wasn't blown out yet. And then, picked it up, fixed it, and got it back together. I've been funded, I think, through OneUp 7 times, and I'm not afraid to blow out an account. Is the funny thing. But at the same time, I don't just go play wildly. But there's times where even if you're willing to lose $600 a trade, there's just times where it's just still not going to work out. What happens over time is there's normally 2 days a week that are easy to trade, 2 days a week that are kind of challenging, and then there's one that's just a real pain, right? And I wish there was a way to figure out early before being down 3 or 4 trades as to what that day is going to be. And so what I started doing was on days where it's like, say I lose my first trade, I started cutting my contracts in half until I'm positive again. And then I start to go back. And that's changed a lot. That's fixed a lot of my problems. And that's why I blew out so many accounts. Was the original idea is, well, you start doubling up your contracts and then you just blow yourself out faster. And so that's not, I did everything the hard way. I don't actually hang out with any traders. I don't know any other traders, not a single one. And so I've kind of taught myself everything. And so I've learned everything through YouTube videos and all sorts of different things. Al Brooks is fantastic. And so once I started watching him and realizing, well, if I'm going to lose, why don't I lose small? And then it's easier to go, overcome that. And so
yes,
by having that many accounts and blowing out quite a few, I've learned a lot. But yeah, I don't foresee that happening again. I think it's inevitable, and it also is a learning process. I think you have to blow out a couple accounts. And what's kind of sad about that is once you discover how to really win, you have to learn how to lose after that. Because if you're going to let yourself only win that much because you're afraid to lose, you're never really going to make it as a trader. You got to let it loose sometimes. And if you're trying too hard, then you restrict yourself so much that you're more than likely going to lose. So it's a strange business out there. And remember, in the end, it's still a zero-sum game. You are literally competing against everyone else. And in the end, any money you make, somebody else loses. And it has to be that way, right? So it's not just like we can all be a big, happy family and make money. It's just not reality. But at the same time, I think the most important part is learning how to lose more than learning how to win. But, and because I was isolated and I do all that, I had to learn it backwards. I learned how to win first, then how to lose. But if you learn how to lose first, then learn how to win from there, You probably save yourself a couple of accounts along the way. It takes about 3 to 5 days. Normally you have to fill out a questionnaire and a lot of the same stuff we're going over here to explain how you trade, why you trade, what you're doing. And I guess they go over that. I'm not sure they do. I think what they're doing is they're trying to compare that to other people and figure out whether they think this is really going to work or not, right? Is this guy, I'm going to jump in with 25 contracts right away and I'm going to win or lose day trade, first trade or not, I wouldn't fund that guy. Again, my plan is to scalp, and if I can get 2 a day, I'm winning, and that's perfect. And so I trade a lot like Al Brooks, where I'm looking for a reason why it's going to pop in one direction for just the next minute. That's all. And so if you can do that and keep that consistent, you're going to make a living, right? But the onboard process, less than a week. The rules are exactly the same. Nothing changes, and everybody's very friendly. They call you and they send you congratulations emails and all sorts of things, and it's really kind of nice. And I've never had anybody give me any problems about anything. It's really been very pleasurable with everything. Whoever I've been funded with or OneUp as a group has been fantastic. Never once, and which was perfect for me because again, I don't have anybody I deal with, nobody to bounce ideas off of. Everything I've learned, I've learned the hard way, completely being isolated. Lilu was interesting because you had to be in a trade room with them, and at the end of the month, there's only one day that they'll give you funding, or not funding, but where you can withdraw from. And they kept changing rules on you all the time. And it was really weird. I was sort of grandfathered in. They did originally have well, if you're a trader that's been doing this a while, here's a fast track to get in. And I was able to get in on that, but then they just kept changing the rules all the time that honestly, I closed it. It just didn't make any sense to me. It's like, well, if there's only one day a month I can actually take money out, and I can only take out like $1,000, even if I had 15 as a win, why would I want to do that? Have you hold my money until whenever? Oh, because we want to, create long-term traders. It's like, if I'm winning, I'm going to stay a long-term trader. So I don't know what the problem was, but some of the companies are kind of weird, but I realize that they're trying to come up with something new. They're just not doing it well. It's a little creepy to me. And again, I still have my Top Step account and I come out ahead, but the thing that got me was literally they had an advertisement that said, we paid out over $1 million this year and we've got over 1,300 funded traders. And I sat and I thought about that, and I literally did the basic math divided by, that means each trader's made $300 this year. This year, how about no? Which is funny because I look like Coach's twin brother here. Oh yeah, a number of times, and it's like clockwork. You say, hey, I won it, and it's in your account the next day. It's just a nice wiring situation. They'd rather you try to do it the same time each month. I don't have a problem with that. One of the, it's funny because with the new analytics and showing I saw somebody took like $28,000. Like, I just want to be that guy. And I was really kind of hoping, and then again, like day 2, my power goes out again. I don't know. I've always had problems with that. In fact, I make it a point. I always trade with, everything's wired. I don't use anything with batteries because I seem to have bad luck with power. But when I lose internet, lose power, I always seem to be in the middle of a trade, and I always get clobbered. I've withdrawn at least $50,000 over the course of all the times that I've had funded situations through OneUp. One of the things I like the most is everybody are the people. Been fantastic. Everybody's been yourself, Jay. Bruce was awesome. I'm trying to remember her name. She was very helpful last time. I got it. Brenda. And so everybody's been fantastic. The rules are always it's cut and dry, right? It's not, it's not something there's nothing subjective about it. It's just you either are within the rules or you broke the rules, right? Very simple. But the idea is, they're always there to help you. They're not there to say, well, you screwed up, out the door as you go, bam, there you are. It's like, how can I help you be better next time? what can we do maybe to, make it a better experience. And it's always been fantastic for me. Again, being in and out of Hawaii and from where I'm from, and normally having internet issues or power issues. I mean, I'm essentially living in the Bahamas. It's almost the same sort of thing, right? And it's going to happen. I just wish I could have two accounts, so I would have one going and maybe lose the one due to power, and then still have one going instead of having to start over and and requalify. If I could have two and I could alternate them, that would be the only perfect thing I think I could do. Because that would be perfect. Honestly, I would, But honestly, no, I don't see anything else. I mean, again, all your emails on how to get set up are perfect. I mean, they're really good. The reason I say if I can have two alternating things, let me explain that. So if my goal is to get 1,250 in an account, and you saw I was about between 70 and 80% accurate the entire time. What I'd like to do is if I can make 1,250 in one account, go to the other account, make 1,250, and I'm 70, 80% accurate, on some of those days, I'm going to lose 1,250 and I got to quit. Mm-hmm. But if you only have one account, the next account I have to trade is that one. Right. So now in my mind, it's like, wow, how come this isn't working? Let me, there's nothing to fix, but I got to try to do that. So by having the two, it gives me the idea that I can quit that one earlier, right? Back into it after having success with the other one. Having the two, I think, would make you that much better trader. But at the same time, then you can also blow out two accounts, right? So that would be the absolute perfect thing, because then I could stop sooner on one and maybe still have success with the other. And then at 70, 80%, I lose twice out of 10 shots a week. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm still making 6, 7 daily goals per week. The thing to do, one, write out your trading plan. Don't be afraid of it, but test it first, right? Learn how to lose first. Right? Go and grab one contract and don't be afraid to lose. Do it with one contract. Don't think to yourself, gosh, I have to do it in 15 days because, otherwise, they're going to think I'm not very good. That isn't the case at all. They would think that, hey, you've really put a good plan together if you planned on doing all this. So learn how to lose first. Do it with one contract. As you start to get better, then you can start to add contracts. Learn how to win after that. And how to win is going with the trend and grab a couple $100 and then let the runners run, right? And there's nothing like ever where you've already grabbed some cash, you've moved your stop loss to break even or positive, and you've got a free trade going, and there's a couple of contracts there, and you just can let that run all day long. That's awesome. There's just no better feeling in the world. So, once you can let yourself do that, and you learn how to do that second, learn how to lose first. Don't be afraid to back off the number of contracts you're using on really volatile days. And at the same time, if it's a really tight day, don't be afraid to up the contracts if you have to, because maybe 9 will actually get you the $1,200 as opposed to 6. Sometimes the NASDAQ pulls in really tight and other times it's all over the place, So be able to vary your plan, learn how to lose first, learn how to win second. And that's pretty much the best advice I can give you.